And we're here again. So yeah, thanks for being with us. We're back with some Voloheen Winds of War. Um, and in the first part of this session, we have been moving our way through this town that Carrie keeps calling a city. It has been dead quiet. The streets have been emptied. The houses appear abandoned. Peeking inside of windows, Eridu has seen what looks to be derelict structures with no real furniture left over and only rubble. The wall that appears to be made of solid marble with inlaid gold feels cracked and worn, and the and he himself and Soter have feared that perhaps this is all some kind of trap. The only people moving in the outer city are just guards. And as we made our way to the gates of the inner city, Leah had played some of her little magic Pied Piper tricks to get the guards to allow us to pass without the documentation needed for having a tiefling in our uh, possession. It's a dirty word. Um, and now it looks like we are going to, as a party, head into the inner city and see if we can continue with our rescue mission. See what's really going on in this place that seems to be much more sinister than it looks. Take it away, Carrie.
All right, yeah. So, um, the gates are opened, and you pass through. Um, Leah, give me a perception check for me.
Um, 23.
Okay. So as you pass, by these two guards, you notice Bo, who has been kind of like hanging back. She's been like not really visible. No one seems to have sort of noticed her. She kind of blends in quite well as being like she's just this little moth hanging about. Um, you see her very briefly land on each of the guards' hair, and they kind of like ruffle her hair a little bit, and she kind of lifts off again, and she goes and lands on the next one, and that kind of happens again, and then she follows you through the gateway, um,
Hmm.
which then closes behind all of you, and you are now in the a little bit busier, sorry, um, street of the inner city. Um, like I already saw, it's fairly similar to the outside in that it looks clean and everything is white and gold and sparkly. But this does look a bit more lived in. The buildings don't seem to be so many houses. Like there are maybe a few still, but it's a lot more like establishments and businesses. You can see places of worship. As you kind of start walking, you can already see these little garden squares that have like little fences around them, but they're like pretty fences that look like vines, and trees that like they might have even been sort of imported in from somewhere else. They don't look necessarily like the ones that you've seen around this area. Everything looks very pretty, and clean. You do see Isma now walking around the streets. They are very relaxed. So as you start making your way in, you see a couple ahead of you. It's two women. One has their arm like linked with the other person's arm, but it's very relaxed. Their whole body looks loose, and they kind of throw their head back, laughing, uh, and then they turn off and walk down another street. And everyone you pass kind of seems to be like this. You can see people sort of like lounged on benches in the garden areas that look like perfectly relaxed and at ease. Um, what would you like to do now that you're inside?
Do we see any tieflings at all?
Not yet, no. So far,
Hmm.
it's only ASMR.
Well, first of all, I guess I would say prior to entering the gate, just to make clear that this is what we've done, we have taken all of Soter's stuff and put it into a saddlebag or something. Sorry, Soter.
We like make our way into the gate and then like take a second and gather all those things, just because that was a
Yeah, I mean,
terrible
actually,
oversight.
no, before we enter the gate, because the two
Oh.
guards, like, it's better to do it in front of the two guards that we know than in front of a
Oh,
bunch
okay.
So yeah, we're doing that, taking more precautions. And I'm trying to, because I want to be able to talk about maybe rethinking the plan before we go too far. But we can't really do that while even while the guards were watching us, even though I had them charmed, that would be too much. But like once we get into where things are a little more bustling, where people are talking and wandering around, I guess what I would try to do is find a way to whisper to Eridu and maybe like ask him to kind of be a go-between. Is he still invisible? Yeah, he's invisible again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I turned invisible after the one guard who drank the potion wasn't doing anything nefarious.
Right. I'm just trying to think of a workaround to the fact that we can't just all like go off into a corner and have a little huddle because two of us are on horses and one of us is a tiefling. And so like maybe asking Eridu to kind of relay messages to everyone maybe is
Just
think.
if we stay close enough to the shadows, I should be able to walk between all of you and pass things along.
So do we find?
Oh, by the way, I did my scouting and there was only the guards and the inner city is much more busy.
Thank you for that information. That's very useful.
Yeah. I mean, you were already on your way over. Oh, the walls, don't climb them. You'll probably get hurt.
So yeah, I think like as we walk in, trying to find like maybe just a side street or like somewhere we can just kind of pause for a minute, ostensibly to regroup or whatever, but really for me to just like mutter to Eridu that we need to maybe rethink our plans.
Yeah, you can find a little side street. Easy enough.
Okay. And you know, try not to look too suspicious, but just like maybe like we're just.
Are you still you're still going around on horseback? Because you notice that there aren't any like livestock or horses in the streets here.
Okay, if there are no other horses, then it would actually be very useful for us to get off our horses because that's obnoxious. So yeah, I would dismount, help Agner dismount, and I would have to figure out a way to get rid of the horses. Are there? You said there are shops and things. Are there like is there like a public stables or something that we could?
Yeah, there's like a well, it's not necessarily a public stable, but you think it's maybe sort of like more where the guards keep mounts, or if they need them, just to the side of where you kind of come in.
Okay.
So you could potentially try and
okay. Yeah, I guess. What do you think? Should you other two? Should we try and leave the horses?
Absolutely. I don't think that drawing attention to ourselves by being on horseback is going to be a good idea. I think we'll already have enough eyes on us with Soter.
It might be difficult to exit if our horses are with the guards, but that may just be what.
Well, we'll just be ready to be ready to abandon them if it comes to that.
Right. Okay. So then I will take because I'm just the one who does everything now. I will take the horses over to the guards and ask them if we can stable our horses with them while we're inside the inner city.
While you're stabling horses, I'll ask Soter if there's any messages I need to pass to you or Agner.
Ooh. So Soter just completely, it's like blank. Just completely blank and barely notices Eridu come up. But when he realizes Eridu has come over, he kind of breaks character and stares directly at Eridu and goes, I can't feel it anymore.
Can't feel what?
I, I knew what these did, but I I feel empty. I can't feel anything. My all of the magic within me, my my connection to Bo, my connection with Shar, it's gone. I just I can't feel anything.
You'll feel the bracelet that you're wearing kind of be tugged a little bit as Eridu
Yeah, so
touches it.
It's on his neck, but
Oh, I thought it was a bracelet for some reason. I heard a thing and just assumed. I had so many distractions in the first half that I missed a lot. I'm really sorry about that. Okay, yeah, you'll feel it kind of like move on your neck a little bit. What is this thing? And it appears solid, like it has no clasp or anything, right?
yeah.
It's part of the slavery process. It's a new thing. It severs all magical abilities and all ties to that special reserve within you that you can pull your power from. It's severed my connection with Shar, my patron, my everything. It's gone. They do it so that they know now that Shar's back that we can't use magic against them, even if we wanted to.
I can only barely wrap my head around how you would hold someone's magic at bay, but how do you separate them from their connection to their god?
I don't know. I just feel empty. There's nothing there.
You feel Eridu's arms wrap around you as he's holding you. You won't have to feel like this for much longer. We'll get this off of you. But you can maybe barely hear the anger just below the words that he's saying.
But I've never been able to take this off myself. I don't know how it's done. I just feel so powerless. Again. But I can't. It's almost like I'm just back. I know this is all a front. I know, but it's like I'm back there. I can see her again. I can see her getting. I'm just so powerless. And just at that last moment, Soter goes full on single tear, barely noticeable, rolling down his face. And that shudder when somebody is really trying to hold it in, but just there's so much emotion going there that they can't. And if I may retcon very slightly to the pat down, did the guards notice my circlet at all?
Interesting, because I forgot about that too. Um,
'Cause that might change things.
Oh, actually, yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so I'm gonna say no. They didn't notice. They didn't notice it because I didn't. So no, they didn't.
Okay. Awesome.
However,
Oh
you
no.
do feel no longer
Oh,
connected to it. You feel like anything that you were attuned to, that was a magic item, the attunement's dropped. Yeah, you don't feel the benefits of it,
Okay.
but you still got it.
That's not what I wanted to hear. Awesome. That's Soter's little bit.
Yeah, Eridu steps back from you, but you still feel his hands, as he's taken both of yours, and your hands are bound still. Agner's holding the rope, and he says, "I won't leave you. I'm here. Throughout all of this, until that thing is off, I will be by your side." And as inconspicuously as possible, he is going to be holding Soter's hand throughout all of this while remaining invisible.
Oh, that's so cute. Okay. So, Leah, you take the horses to the guards. The guards on this side of the wall seem like way more relaxed than the ones even on the outside. So as you go over to them, they just kind of look up at you, and give you like a bit of a smile. Not like a, like scary smile, like a, friendly smile.
Okay. Yes, she just says something along the lines of, is it possible for our horses to remain with you as we move within the city? We don't want to cause a fuss.
Of course. Yeah, just bring them over, tie them up. No problem.
I am going to do like just an insight, but I frequently forget to do those.
When Carrie does that voice, I'm always like,
oh, well. That's a 27.
Okay. What are you kind of trying to work out from what are you looking for?
Well, first of all, I'm trying to work out that they are, if they will relinquish the horses to us again afterwards. Also, just like, if their relaxation is because they know something that I don't. Basically, I'm just trying to figure out if it's safe for me to leave the horses with them or if there's going to be a problem.
Okay. So like even on a roll that high, like I will say, it's kind of hard to work out those things specifically. Just because that's kind of, there'd be difficult things to kind of read into someone's very short interactions with you, especially when you've not really like asked them, if it'll be easy for you to go back kind of thing. But they don't seem overly bothered. They don't even really go over with you when you go, like if you go in to tie the horses up. Like they don't seem threatening. It's hard to tell whether it's like because they know something, but they do seem perfect, like more relaxed than you'd probably used to seeing a guard being, and it doesn't look like fake or anything. It doesn't.
And they don't seem like they're gonna keep the horses and say, "Too bad you left them with us. They're ours now."
They don't seem to have that sort of air about them. They seem to be they seem to be very like carefree. So the impression you would get would be they wouldn't really care either way if you came back or left the horses there.
Okay. Okay. Then good. I do that and make my way back to the others.
Okay. So back to
Agner presumably just standing there looking like a grumpy old man.
Yep. That's all he does this session. He's just standing places looking grumpy.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's here.
Right.
I in my head canon, Agner has been super paranoid since we brought up the idea of a trap, and he is just like in this quiet state of paranoia, looking out for the ISCB behind every corner. Specifically, the ISCB.
Somehow it's the
But-
ISCB again.
Yeah, he heard trap and was like, "Oh, it's the ISCB. They're doing something. They must be up to something. I know their tricks."
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you're all back together again in this little side street.
Right. And now we're on foot, so it's a little easier to actually mutter amongst ourselves. So then Leah will say, I think trying to bluff our way into the inner house is going to meet with the same kind of resistance as getting through the gates. And I don't have we don't have the papers, and I don't trust that I will be able to bespell people, nor should I.
Didn't one of the guards mention that there can be registry papers in the city?
I don't
Perhaps
think so.
if we get a... Didn't he say, "Oh, this happens, like, just go get them registered in the city"?
He did, yeah.
I missed that.
Perhaps if we get close enough, if it's possible, I can get the things we need to forge a registry. And that might, overlooking something as important as paperwork with a society of people that seems so rigorous in their...
Oppression?
I don't even know what to call it. Yes, that's a good word for it. It all feels so dirty in here, despite how whitewashed their walls are.
Agreed. Soter, I'm so sorry.
It happens.
So, should we split up once more and Eridu should go and try to find papers for us while we walk the streets of the city and pretend that everything's fine?
I squeeze Soter's hand. I told you I wouldn't leave you.
Thank you.
So then, what are our other options?
I mean, I'm kind of looking at Agner because that's sort of what happens in these situations, but...
I know. Because I know that there are spells and trickery and whatnot that we can use to try and make ourselves less conspicuous. We could try to infiltrate the house via other means, climbing walls and shit. But as far as like bluffing our way through without papers, we're lucky that we were able to get into as far as we have without that stuff. And then once we get inside the house, we could very easily lose control of the situation while they're like, oh yes, we'll take the slave off your hands and go put him in this prison cell. Or, there's so many ways that that we'll have to like navigate once we're inside. It'd be much easier if we could just all be invisible. Unfortunately, we don't have that person with us either.
Just reading the comment about Agner's responses here. We've got Agner playing in the chat, apparently.
Yes, I see. Goodness. Because, yeah, I don't know. even with paperwork, once we get inside the gates, it's inside the building, it seems very obvious to me now that there are specific things being done to keep the tieflings at like their at the least risk possible, I guess, which means that it seems very likely to me that they would try to take Soter away from us as we entered.
What was your plan once you've got sold, Soter?
Just the usual. Find the target, make contact, scout out security, find the flaw, and go for it. Usually, well, 9 times out of 10, I don't really take the front gate, which means I can very easily just make my portal and scuttle out of there. But without bow and without the magic, I just don't think that's going to be possible anymore.
Well, how out of sight are we? Can we ask Agner to attempt to do a detect and dispel magic now?
Like on the thing?
Yeah, on the collar.
You feel like you're pretty out of sight, like, and also you kind of felt that nobody has really even noticed you anyway when you were in the streets. Like, no one really gave you a second look or anything. They maybe double tucked at Soter, but otherwise they just didn't really seem to care. So you feel pretty out of the way enough to do that. So yeah, I'm sure he would be more than willing to, get dispelling magic. So I don't have any of his oh my god, words. Any of his information. So in terms of like spell slots and all that stuff, I don't know if someone else wants to just keep track of what gets used just for future
You can
reference and stuff.
pull up all his information on.
I know, but I've already got like a million tabs, so I'm like flicking between.
Okay. I'll do it.
Thank you.
Yeah. I was making the point that it can be done. I will do it. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
It's okay. You're welcome.
Yeah, and then so I guess the detect magic first. So you decide so what like level and stuff he's gonna use the spells at. I will make a note.
Yeah, I'm just pulling open his character sheet and spells. All right. So he's already got disguise self used, and he actually marked that spot off already. Good. Didn't mark off pass without trace though. All right. So his dispel magic, he can use it up to 4th level. But let's do the detect magic first and see what he sees. And there is no benefits for casting it at any higher level, I don't believe. No, you just see the aura. So, all right, yeah, he just reaches out with his spidery godness and attempts to see what kind of magic is around. It'll be anything within 30 feet, but he's gonna definitely be focusing on the collar.
So, the first thing that Agner notices is that there's basically magic all around. Like, he can sense this aura coming from the floors, coming from the walls of this alleyway that you're in. Almost to the point of where like it's almost overpowering. But then managing to focus in on the band around Soter's neck. It's not. He doesn't get an aura that he's like particularly familiar with. It's hard for him to like pinpoint exactly what kind of magic this is. It seems more like it's been this is new. This is something that, you know, hasn't, that someone, probably a skilled artificer, has put together themselves and woven their own magics into it. So it's not like there's not like a specific school of magic in there. It just seems to be kind of some sort of worked magic. But he does get the idea that dispel magic could work on it.
Let me get my Agner going. Well, the ISCB is definitely here. They're all around. They've cast spells on the walls and on the ground and on everything. And this is, it's. I mean, gods, I wish that that Ellie was here, because she would know what to do about this. He rattles the collar, and it's like they've got artificers working with the ISCB now, making this devilry. But I think I can do it. Let me get a good look here. Yeah. All right. Here goes nothing. He takes a swig of whiskey and dispels magic. And for good measure, we'll do it at 4th level.
Okay. So how does that work in terms of numbers
that's a good
and
question.
rolls and stuff? I can't remember off the top of my head.
I can, because it's right here. Voila. A DC equals 10 plus the spell's level, so he has to roll a check.
If it's
For every spell. So if it's 3rd level or lower, it just automatically goes away. If it's 4th level or higher, and then when you cast a spell using a spell slot of 4th level or higher, you automatically end the effects of a spell on the target if the spell is equal to or less than the spell slot you cast. So I cast it at 4th level, so if it's 4th level or lower, it automatically goes away.
Okay. Roll me the check, please.
Okay. I didn't actually look at what kind of check it is, though. Spellcasting check. Okay, so his spellcasting thing is wisdom, so he's got a +4, I guess. That's not good. I rolled a 4.
Yeah.
Wait, chat. You're Agner. What did you roll? No, I'm
Not how it works.
kidding. It's a total of...
A group chat.
I know. It's a total of 8.
Okay. So he feels his magic sink into the magic of the band, and it's almost like he can feel it trying to work its way around it, like almost like you'd lockpick something, like you can feel, you know, the like barrels moving. But then it just drops out, and it's almost like the band almost absorbed the power of it, and it just fell away. And the band is still on, and nothing has changed.
Damn, fuck, God's piece of shit. More whiskey. That's all I need. Just a little more whiskey.
Oh God.
Look, I couldn't do it. Of course, you know, I just can't do anything right now. This stupid place. The ICB is watching, so they're probably doing their own thing to stop what I'm doing. They'll be on us soon, so do we try again or do we get out of the street?
Okay, well, so this is going to the band, the collar is going to prevent you from being able to do what you normally do, Soter. Is that correct?
Yes.
It's like the damn thing just swallows up magic.
That is a very good way of putting it.
Okay.
We can
Well,
do this.
We have a couple options, I think. We'd leave, go right back out the way we came, return to the camp, ask them to remove the collar, regroup, try again a different way. We keep trying to bluff our way into the buildings. We attempt to get some paperwork to smooth the way. Once we're inside, Soter can't do what he usually does, so we basically have to play it by ear and improvise the entire time, not knowing what we're going to be encountering. I may have to use my powers far more than I want to. I hope that Shar can help me afterwards. Otherwise, I don't know how I can live with myself.
Does Bo have her own magic? Can she aid with any of this getting in and out bit?
Bo is Bo. She will do what she does.
Does
I
Eridu
love her.
know that? Oh, go ahead.
I love her dearly, but she has her own agenda and she will do what she needs to do. I wouldn't place much hope in her doing the thing we need her to do.
And you can't talk to her anymore.
No.
Did Eridu know that Bo was Shar?
Unless Leah
Did that
told
get
him.
told to him?
Yeah, well, Leah told him like what was going on there, or if Bo is not Shar, then Bo is like a conduit or a representation of Shar in some way. What's Leah's interpretation of that? Because, you know, when she outright asked Shar and Shar just smiled at her and walked off, you know?
Yeah. I'm trying to see.
Trying to see if Agner has anything else to contribute.
I am. I'm also trying to see if I have anything else to contribute.
Right.
Because actually, Eridu is like without his spells is kind of not really. He's got a couple of tricks, but they don't help in a place like this.
Well, he's very sneaky.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm willing to do another dispel magic with Agner. I think he's got 2 more 3rd level spell slots left.
Okay.
If that's something that carries down for.
Yeah, you can keep going, doing as many as you want on it, whatever you think you would do.
Yeah.
That bodes well.
Yeah. That was a 14 in total.
Okay. So that would fail. So the same thing happens again.
Waste all the spell slots.
That's what Agner does, right?
Pull through his spell slots.
All right. Yeah. You know what we'll do? He's gonna keep his last 4th level spell slot because he told Eridu he'd get him out of there. All right. I think he's only got 1 more 3rd level spell. So here we go. Come on, don't fuck it up. That's an 18.
All right.
That's better.
So this time, he feels his magic sink into the band, and he feels that same almost like pushback and the working of this magic. Like if Ellie was doing this, she would feel it like cogs moving, kind of. She would understand it almost mechanically for how it's working. But just as he thinks that maybe it's not gonna work again, it detaches at the back and almost powers down. Like Soter, you feel everything come rushing back in, and it's like being hit with a wave of something. Like it almost knocks you off your feet. It's so like powerful, and it's like you immediately can hear Bo again. Like it's like everything is just way more intense. Yeah, and the band is undone and depowered.
When you were doing detect magic, or maybe this would require like an investigate check or something, was there a way to determine that we could still have the collar on just depowered? Or are the two things linked? And when it fell off, when just the magic was dispelled, that means that we can't put it back on without awakening the magic.
Quick question. The disguise self that Aigner has on, that's not concentration, is it?
Disguise self is not concentration. No.
Okay. So detect magic would still be. He would still have detect magic on, I think. And
Okay.
then cast and dispel magic. So
although he wouldn't have pass without a trace on anymore, so Eridu doesn't get a stealth bonus.
Right. Okay.
That's good to know.
So
well, Eridu, you put pass without a trace on yourself last time, I think.
Okay, then I will give Kyle a spell slot back.
Ah!
I thought he did it.
No, I think it was you. I think I remember it was you.
That explains why I have key points missing.
Okay, so you can see that there is no magic he can tell there's no magic coming off it now. Testing it out, like not around Soter's neck, you feel like you can do the clasp up, but it doesn't disappear. It doesn't turn into like a one solid band. It will close, but you can now see that opening on it.
I see.
Oh, okay. So you have to activate it in some way.
Sleight of hand it and disguise the fact that it's not seamless. Which means that we would again not be able to do like close examination.
Is there any form of fire nearby?
How nearby are you talking?
Just kind of, if you were to look around, would there be any source of fire in sort of eye shot?
No, I'm gonna say no because it's like middle of the day. You know, they don't really have any open flames here. It's kind of, they don't seem to need it. So.
Asimar, am I right?
If they were really smart, they'd do something about all these shadows.
Okay.
Asimar aren't smart. I thought you knew that.
No, anyone who maintains a level of slavery to this extent isn't smart at all.
You know what, Eridu? I'm starting to like you.
Only now. Why were you wanting to try to like melt it or fuse it or something?
Yeah, pretty much. That was the only thing I could think of, was to sort of weld it back together. It may be crude, but I mean, we could make up some wonderful lie as to why it looked so crude.
Okay.
What?
Well,
we're here to find this girl, right?
Yes.
And is there anything else? Anyone else we're here for? I couldn't remember if as Asa, I can't remember if there was another person.
Yes.
we were here to. There were siblings that we were going to rescue because one of them knew where Soter's person was.
Right. So role playing for Agner again. Agner's gonna look in Soter's general direction. Do you know what the siblings look like? If you explain them really, 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 really well to me, I might be able to find them. Or like tell me what they smell like. What their voices sound like.
We might not have that information though.
Unfortunately, I know nothing.
Oh damn.
I know the noble house. I know that there are a sister and a brother. Both are tieflings, and both are getting out of here, one way or another.
Okay, well, Soter, you have your powers back. We can't guarantee that the collar will hold up to scrutiny, so maybe trying to get in through the front door is still not our best bet. But some of us could attempt to cause distraction at the front door, while those of you who are more sneaky could infiltrate by other means.
I can probably get in as long as they don't have, you know, really good security systems.
It's very well guarded. That much I know. There's not only the town guard, but I have been led to believe from the intel I was given that they have their own guards as well. So this is a high risk.
It sounds like, at least from my understanding of what I've seen and heard so far, that they are more concerned with tieflings getting out than people getting in. They may not be on the lookout for people attempting to get into the building. It's once we're in, attempting to get out that might become the problem. I may be entirely wrong about that assumption.
I have to agree. It does seem to be all about getting out.
We definitely had a plan, and we can stick with that plan. Perhaps we can. I can make myself visible again, as one of Agner's servants. We could ask that they house us for the night. Make the deal for Soter. Let them house us. Let me infiltrate the place that we're in. Find out where Soter and the prisoners are kept. We all regroup. You do your thing, and we all get out of here.
Then we will need papers, and we will need for the caller to be convincing.
Okay, I am now going to ask DM. Would I be able to use disguise self to make the collar appear whole?
What's the? What? I presume
So disguise self says you make yourself, including clothing, armor, and weapons, and other belongings on your person, look different.
If you have disguise self, why not just use it on yourself? Now that we're inside the gates, you don't have to be a tiefling. We could just go into the house as a bunch of Aasimar, or Aasimar and elves, and not even worry about them taking you from us, or locking you up, or noticing that your collar isn't working.
There's a
What?
We've lost you.
Yeah, my speaker unplugged. We need a new cover story if that is going to be the case.
Right. Yes, we would come up with a different reason for entering the house.
The issue that I have with that, which I will never make myself look like them. That's rule number one. Number two, it will be a lot harder for us to find who we're looking for in the house without me being a tiefling.
I see.
I would say. This is, I don't know, stubborn, very stubborn. And at that, Soter apparently just stops talking.
Well, and I'll squeeze Soder's hands again and say, well, now that you no longer have the collar on, at least not in the same capacity, I can go get you get papers. Hopefully, they're just papers to register you, and we can start there.
That sounds good.
Now we just need to figure out where the registry office is at, so I know where to go. And I'm going to look to Leah, because taking the point in gathering information is her job.
I guess so. Did the guards when I spoke to the guards at the doorway, the ones that I charmed, did they point in a vague direction of a place to when they mentioned the papers?
Yeah, not really. They just kind of like if they did, they just sort of waved beyond the gate, like it wasn't, yeah. He wasn't like this.
Just
this
wander
way.
around, you'll find it.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Then yeah, Leah will say, all right, hang out here while I find a random person and ask them for directions. Just like the kind of person who does that. And then she will not necessarily approach a guard. I don't think she would just approach a random citizen. It's mostly all Azamar, isn't it?
It's all ASMR.
There aren't any.
No one else. Yeah.
Elves or anything.
No.
Okay, so
I
yeah,
distinctly remember asking that earlier.
Yeah, I have to remember these things because I can't. My memory is terrible, apparently. So she'll find some people that look accommodating. Or
you notice that, like, everybody looks equally as relaxed, just like the guards that you kind of gave the horses to. They make small talk, they laugh, they seem just very, very carefree. So anyone pretty much.
Yeah, so then she'll just very simply ask, can you point me in the direction or give me directions to the registry office without like trying to explain herself.
Okay.
At
so
first.
You not pull aside, but you approach someone as they're just sort of lingering around on the street. They look at you, and it seems like it takes them like a very slight second to focus on you and like realize that you're talking to them. And then it's a woman. I'm going to say it's a woman.
Sure.
She then smiles at you, and says, "Oh, of course, you mustn't be from around here. Yeah, just head up this road to the left, and then head past the church, and it's just up there. It's just the town hall. They'll be able to get what you need."
I feel like every Azamar we've encountered has had this like moment of just looking at Leah with a like thinly veiled disgust, and then be like, "Oh, of course I can help you," after putting on this fake smile.
Oh, see, I thought it was because they're all on drugs and it just takes them a minute to like register what the heck is going on.
Maybe.
Could be either one.
Why not both?
Why not both? I think rather than go herself to the town hall to like make sure that it's where the lady says it is, I think she'll just go back to the party because time's a wasting. And then relate the directions to Eridu.
All right. Now it's time for Eridu to do stuff. I think I can.
How much information did you relay to the group? As in, did you kind of mention that they kind of took a second just to realize who you were, or did you just go, the town registry office is over there?
That's a good question. Is it something that Leodin would find suspicious, or just be like, eh?
I don't know. That's your I can't tell you.
I know. That's what I'm trying to decide. She is more on edge than usual, so she might find that like weird. So she might relay that information to everyone.
I'm starting to get worried. And I mean, I don't know, it might have just been me, but did anybody else notice that guard take a swig of something?
I saw that.
Yeah, I almost. Well, it would have been bad.
And the fact that there was nobody in the outer city, and
I've
everybody.
got this figured out. Give me a second. I'm being invisible. I'm gonna just wander off. You can keep talking.
I love the fact that he knows exactly what I was going to ask him to do. There is something. So to do is a thing, people.
I imagine Invisible Eridu is going to have a very easy time lifting one of these flasks off of someone.
If indeed everyone has one.
Okay, so is that what you're gonna go and try and do?
I'm going to look for the nearest person that just kind of wandering the streets who's enough in the shadows that I remain invisible, and see if they have a flask on them, noticeable. And if they do, I'm going to try to steal it from them. Or if they don't, I'm going to try to take one that might be left unattended, but I'd rather take it from a person.
Okay. So heading out onto the street, you easily find someone. You end up following them a little bit up the street. They don't have some like a visible like flask on their side. It doesn't look like they're carrying something like openly. But you can do a perception check to
Okay.
try and see if you can see like
My
a
stealth-
bulge of one somewhere.
My stealth is a 17 at the moment,
Okay.
and my perception check is a 25.
Okay. So you do have to kind of follow them up the street a little further than you perhaps would have wanted to, but you manage to kind of get a good look. A good look at them, and you do spot something kind of jutting out from under their like jacket kind of side flap, that you think perhaps could be where they would be carrying something like that.
Okay. I will attempt to steal it.
Okay, so a sleight of hand check.
Just normal, or do I have advantage for being invisible?
You probably advantage for being invisible.
Yes, I could use the advantage because the first roll wasn't great. The second roll wasn't terrible, but it wasn't a 2, so 14.
Okay. You managed to kind of slide your way up alongside them, sticking very close to the wall. And just as they stop to look across the street, you slip a hand into, like, very slightly push aside the edge of their jacket and slip a hand into their pocket. You feel your fingers wrap around something glass with a cork top to it. And as you go to pull it out, you feel them turn to look down at their jacket, where although like you're invisible, their jacket is sort of like pushed aside and their pocket is open. There's no breeze, there's nothing that could be doing that, and they can then feel your hand like against their side,
Slipping
but they
out
can't
of their
see you.
pocket.
Yeah. And they just kind of seem to stare down at their jacket, confused.
Holding on to this flask, I would like to teleport to the nearest shadow within 60 feet of me. Okay. Hopefully I take the flask with me and not the person.
Okay.
I don't know that I can take a person with me on this teleportation, but I do understand if I can't take the object.
Okay. So is there like, how like dramatic is this teleport? Like I guess it's supposed to be stealthy, isn't it? It's from shadow to shadow, so I presume it's like unnoticeable.
It doesn't say anything specific. It just says when you're in dim light or darkness, as a bonus action, you can teleport up to 60 feet.
Okay.
And I am currently invisible. You could rule that I become visible again at the end of the teleportation.
Okay.
Because it does say until I attack, cast a spell, and we can say it's a spell.
Okay. Well, it's fine. You teleport away. You do carry the little flask with you. Um, but yeah, when you reappear in the shadows, you realize that the flask isn't invisible, but you're still invisible. Um, and you can see from a distance the guy that you were taking out of his pocket. He's just kind of he's still looking at his jacket, where it's kind of like flat back down again and back to how it was, and he's just stood there like looking at it.
All right. Well, I'm gonna tuck the flask under my cloak, since that seems to be invisible as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming the reason why it's not invisible is because I was invisible when I had grasped it, but it was not.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't automatically make it invisible.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna tuck it under my robe and then run back to the alley where everyone's waiting.
Okay. You run back. What do you guys want to have been doing anything while he was gone?
So, yes, that is why I hypothesize that they are all being drugged by this mysterious red fluid. Oh, hello there, Eridu.
You only see me because of the floating fluid, floating flask.
This red fluid that has magically appeared in my hand.
I think Agner probably would have smelled me before.
Yeah, the only thing I would want to do is just kind of keep an eye out to make sure that us casually standing down aside wasn't garnering too much attention.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's weird for Eridu to just be invisible all the time. I'll be visible when I'm interacting with all of us, unless there's a reason to not be.
Okay.
I mean, you still look like all tixy.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's fine. We'll be okay.
Okay.
I have a hood up.
Okay. Sure,
Okay.
that's not suspicious.
So you're back together again. I mean, I didn't describe the liquid before. You kind of just assumed it was red. It actually isn't liquid.
It's not a liquid?
No.
They're drinking a solid.
It's a little jar of like pellets.
Ooh.
They're like a bean-sized thing. I realize there are different types of beans, but general bean-sized.
Like it's like, yeah, the bean you would think of when you hear the word bean. I think I get it.
Yeah.
I was
Like-
thinking of Mr. Bean.
Not that
Beanbag
big.
bean.
People-sized beans.
All right, so tell us more. Tell us more.
What do you want to? So basically it's just so it's like a little glass flask, and it's half filled with these white pellets.
So should we rock, paper, scissors?
Does Agner still have his detect magic on?
Just give it to Agner.
Yeah, I guess it probably would still be on. They're not giving off. Oh, I don't really know. They're not giving off a magical aura.
Okay. Do they?
I'm pretty
smell-
sure this is something we got to take to Finnegan.
Yeah, right.
Oh god.
What does Agner smell? Or like
Um,
notice in a non-visual way?
Actually, well, okay. So, do you think he would like take the top off the bottle, the cork out?
I mean, yeah, if I would say Agner would be investigating in that way. I think that if Kyle were here, he'd be like, "Yeah, let's smell this and see what happens."
So he takes the top off of it, and it's hit with the smell of apples.
Does just the smell like affect his?
No, it just smells like apples.
Doesn't seem to have an effect. Okay. Well, I'm out of ideas for analyzing it.
So you think they're all being drugged by this apple-smelling bean?
Well, it would make sense. I mean, what kind of guard would stop well, 3/4 of the way through an inspection to take a substance? Does that not strike you as odd?
I did tell him to treat this as if it were a perfectly normal happenstance, and to allow us to come through as if there, basically this is fine, this is normal, and that's when he took it. So I wonder if that's something that he normally would not have done if I hadn't used my powers to convince him that everything was normal.
That's true, but if we then take it to the next step, you told him to make sure everything was normal. So this is a normal thing for him to do when he's
That's what I was thinking.
comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not the only one with this thing. I don't know. Now it's starting to... Maybe we're not walking into a trap, but walking into the... I don't know where this is going. Yes, we're walking into the beginnings of a trap on someone else. I don't know.
Eridu is going to take the bottle from Agner and shake one of the little beans out into his palm and look at it and say, well, we'll only know what it does if one of us tries it.
No, don't. Okay, but it's not worth it.
Okay.
Not worth it.
How is Eridu holding said bean? Is it like...
Just in the palm of his hand, holding it out. Yeah.
I have a horrible feeling I think Carrie knows what I'm about to do. So I don't want to roll for this. Soter is going to kind of like dart towards Eridu, slap his hand up so the bean goes... Yeah. So the bean goes up, and then try to ingest it somehow.
It's probably going to be a dex off for that, I think.
Oh, we can see who really throws the knife now. Put your dice where your dick is.
Is that we're calling it now?
Wow.
Throwing the knife?
Yes. And all I have to say, if someone in chat can just like turn that into a GIF, a sound GIF of me saying "put your dice where your dick is," I would be greatly appreciative.
I think that's wonderful.
Someone
Just straight dex rolls?
Yeah, dex checks.
The monk
All
versus
right.
rogue is
Carrie brings me luck.
I have...
Don't you dare say that word that you're going to say, or those two words that you're going to say.
a 19.
Oh, sorry, is that 19 total? Yeah. 22.
And
Oh,
damn, that's some close shit.
Are you okay? So do you want to describe it? Because you get it. So.
Yeah, so literally, this is all coming in Soter's hot-headedness, and just Leah kind of crying out no to Eridu, just like, why would you be so stupid to do it?
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's that familial bond going on there. So Soter just thinks, right, okay, I have put everyone in this position. This is my mission. I
should do this mission whilst on drugs.
Is that not normally how things go? Am I living my life wrong? Oh well. So Soter, just that split second when Leah cries no, just kind of darts forward and just very lightly but forcefully kind of slaps Eridu's hand upwards. I'm realizing I've got the wrong hand up here. Poof. just up like that, and then there's just a little arc of the beam going, and this is Soter, so I feel like it's not going to go perfectly. So he kind of stumbles forward, initially trying to grasp it in his hand, and then fumbles it, and it just kind of bounces higher, and then kind of he trips over his feet a little bit, and the only way that he's fully committed now, so he just kind of opens his mouth and hopes that it goes in, and by some miracle of Shar, it does.
I want Agner to just come like flying between them with like the dolphin sound and just gulp.
Why are the boys fighting over who gets to be drugged?
Right.
It's my drugs.
Oh, God.
Okay. You catch it in your mouth. It tastes like apples. Like you are overwhelmed with this taste of apples. It's nice though. It tastes nice. And you swallow it, and I need you to make me a Constitution saving throw. You can always choose to fail if you know, just saying.
Eridu will
It is
catch you before you hit the ground.
Yes, because I want to know what this does, so I choose to fail.
Okay. You feel washing over you. It's like someone has cast a calm emotions spell on you. And suddenly every worry, every like concern, anything that you were like feeling passionate about, anything that was like pressing on you, it just washes away. It's like you couldn't care less. Like you can feel the sun on your skin. You are surrounded by people that you are friends with now. You're in the arms of Eridu. Like you couldn't be any more like like you are like this is pure contentment. Contentment content right now. Words. You as you look up into Eridu's face, as you feel this this calmness wash over you.
So do we just see Soter just looking completely blissed out now?
Pretty much. What does Soter do?
So as Eridu quite kindly catches me, I just look up at his interestingly elvish face,
Bark like.
and just kind of smiles. It's a weird feeling. He doesn't. His facial muscles don't really know what's happening here, and there's just this really audible sigh, and Eridu probably kind of feels almost every muscle that is not currently being used to hold me in the current position, just all of the tension goes away. Just complete sort of relaxation. And in a weird way, Soter's not kind of doing his usual meerkat, kind of like looking everywhere, just kind of keeping his eyes on his surrounding. He just does nice, slow, almost meaningful, just very quick survey, and rests his eyes on each member. Oh, I'm not supposed to hit my mic. Each member of the party, just slowly going through, and the smile just doesn't really disappear. And then as he's kind of done this round, his eyes just kind of fall back on Eridu, holding him, this little bark-like face, and then Soter just kind of puts his hand up to the bark, just kind of rests his hand there, grabs his other hand, and then just gently clasps Eridu's hand and just gives it a little squeeze. And then that's it. He just kind of wriggles his way out of Eridu's arms and just kind of stands there, smiling, freaking everybody out.
And Eridu will look at him with a troubled crease in his brow as his skin has just become more barkish in a sort of unintentional defense. And he says, "Oh, I know that feeling."
All right. I think we're gonna end on that note. Yeah, cool. That's it for today. Issa, do you want to talk us out, or do you want me to do it?
Let me play us out. Yeah. Thank you all for joining us today, sans Kyle, and it was a great time. We have been Roll for Mischief, and join us next week. Same time, same place. Goodbye.